Welcome to the Discovery Doc podcast, where we advocate for optimal wellness and reducing everyday toxic loads, no matter where life takes you. I'm Dr. CeCe, doctor in nursing practice, self-proclaimed toxin tamer, and a crunchy mama.
I'm Annah Kate, a medical mystery overachiever and your discovery liaison. Join us on this exciting journey as we explore the world of holistic health, cutting-edge research, and practical solutions for a healthier life. Together, we'll navigate through the complexities of wellness, sharing valuable insights and expert advice.
Tune in to the Discovery Doc podcast. Get ready to be inspired, empowered, and discover a whole new way of looking at your health.
Welcome back to the Discovery Doc podcast. I'm here with your host,
Dr. CeCe, functional medicine nurse practitioner, self-proclaimed toxin tamer, and crunchy mama, and our co-host.
I'm Annah Kate, your medical mystery overachiever and discovery liaison, and I've been asking lots of questions.
I don't have the answers to.
But we're going to find out. So on this episode, we're going to give you the tools to answer the questions that we covered in our last episode of Toxic Air.
Yes. Again, we don't want to just give you guys a whole bunch of problems. We want to educate and empower you to understand the types of things that might be a problem and how we can just focus on our health and well-being in the long run and control what we can, and that's within our home. And so venturing down this month of non-toxic living, we want to present the possible problems, but then also the solutions in a manageable way, because we are all different. We all have different things that are available to us. And so in terms of our home, it's no different. There's no one air filter, like one size fits all, because all of our homes are completely different. Our exposures are completely different. And so I want to go through kind of each option that I would think is a good option or just whatever for any one of us.
Yeah.
Depending on where we live and what we're exposed to. And so the first one are central air filters. Do you guys have, before I'm diving into that, do you guys have an air filter?
We have air filters on our units, like the things. Yeah. I don't have a purifier.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have an air purifier.
So air.
But on that, real quick, when you put in an air filter in your attic on your for your whole house, write the date on it. So if you forget, if you don't put a reminder in your phone of, hey, it's time to change the air filter, you can go up and see how long it's been since you.
It's been 2 years.
Yeah, since you've been doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Right, that's true. That's the hard part, is keeping up with it.
We have these fancy things.
We do, to remind us.
You can set an alarm and repeat every 3 months for the rest of your life, or whatever's suggested for your unit.
That's a good idea. So, central air filters. Moving on. Filters are, I think it's important to understand the difference between central air filters when you go to purchase one. And there's so much information out there. So just understanding the basics of what we are looking for and what this thing can provide us. So filters are rated by their standards that measure how effective they are at removing particles. We talked about particles a lot in the last episode and kind of what that means and what toxins that can that counts as. But that standard is known as MERV. He has a name, MERV. It's minimum efficiency reporting value. So that MERV, when you see that, there's MERV and then there's a number. And MERV ratings go from 1 to 20.
Okay.
So the higher the rating, the higher the number, the more those particles will be removed in terms of how small the particles are. Who is scraping over there?
Someone brought us food.
My mom, the door is so creaky. My mom just opened it slowly and dropped a brown paper bag at the door.
I need to put coconut oil on that or something.
We do need to put something. I was like, who is doing this? is doing this? But anyway, so the higher the MERV number, the finer the particles that filter will be able to get out. So central forced air systems typically have a 1-inch thick panel filter. Those are basic. That's just the flat filters, and they're super inexpensive, but they only remove about 20% of air particles. And so filters that are rated MERV 1 to 4 aren't really designed to help improve air or indoor air quality. Some of those filters are sold online. They're very easy to get a hold of. They're not the most efficient again, but as we get higher with MERV ratings, they get more expensive. Gotcha. So I just think it's important to know that MERV 1 through 4, if we can stay away from that, I would. I don't find it worth your money to go MERV 1 through 4. More medium efficiency filters. So this is where I would say, hey, this is where I would start if budget allows for it, would be medium efficiency filters. So these are composed of different woven materials and have a MERV rating of 5 to 8. So kind of more mid-range. Mm-hmm. And those pleats, that woven material, allows for more particles to be trapped. And some of them are even washable and reusable. So you're not having to buy new filters every single time, which in the long run will then save you money. So something to look into to just compare cost effectiveness. They trap particles. Again, they trap a little bit finer particles since the MERV rating is higher. The most highly efficient are your high efficiency filters.
Imagine how that works out. That's great. That worked out nice.
And these remove really, 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 really tiny, fine particles. I mean, really tiny particles. And these are MERV filters with a rating of 9 to 12. Again, of course, those are going to cost more, but they're still relatively inexpensive in the grand scheme of things when we're looking at air purification systems. You can have your HVAC inspector or technician come out and inspect your central air system before you upgrade to a MERV 9 or higher, because you might not need it. Again, it's dependent on your air quality. So you might want to have your air quality tested first before you go spend that extra money for a higher MERV filter.
Right. We can check our indoor air quality with our new HVAC system.
So cool.
So I don't know. I'll have to ask what our MERV number is.
And it says it right on the screen.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can pull it out and look at it. The higher we go, for filters between a MERV of 13 and 16 are super high efficient. Again, we're just kind of gaining an efficiency here, and the smaller the particles that can be removed. They're not as common, I would say, for residential use, but they're starting to become more common. It's usually more for commercial spaces, or certain manufacturer settings where they have to, their air quality is a little lower because of the chemicals that are being exposed to in that building. But some newer homes absolutely have that higher rating. The MERV 17 and up removes literally, it's like 99.97% of particles down to 0.3 microns. Someone told me how big that is, but tiny, 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 tiny. So there is a whole range. I would say that most people can fit between that 8 and 12 range, but again, it depends on what is the air quality of your home.
And that may be a better option instead of doing a full home filter, like a regular air filter or whatever. But a 0.3 micron is 3/10 of a full micron.
It's tiny.
Just so you know,
it is tiny, absolutely tiny. So you nerd. Then if we kind of go on and we look at portable air filters, if your home does not have central heating or cooling with filtration, then portable air filters can be a great addition to your home. Or if you want to be extra cautious, you can always add a portable air filter to your home as well. They basically remove the particles from the air by capturing them in the filters with electrostatic attraction.
And this would be great as an addition for pollen season if you're in a heavily pollinated area during that season, to have something that you can rinse out and do it. And there's water filters that, they're water-based air filters. So it runs the air through a tank of water and it collects it in the water.
Be careful, mold. That's where my brain would go with that.
But like during pollen season, like you wouldn't do it all
yeah.
the time. But if you're trying to get those bigger particulates out of the air, that would be a great resource.
Absolutely.
To be able to use that.
And some of them use like UV lights. It's another great one during pollen season too, to inactivate some of those airborne pollutants. So some of your viruses, bacteria, mold. I don't know if ones with the water also incorporate a UV unit, but that would be really cool. That seems like it would make sense. I thought I was like, oh, what are you interested in? What are you saying?
I'm looking at you.
And I think right now the big fad is air doctors. People love air doctors in terms of filters. I love them too. I think that they're great. Those are, I mean, they're pretty darn expensive, so I don't think you have to go right to an air doctor. I think when you're looking at portable air filters, there are so many on the market that you have to, again, air quality. What is your need? 2, what is your price range? And then do the best that you can within that, and read reviews, read what that system pulls out to see if it's even remotely what you need for your home, and then go with that. Not everybody needs a stinking air doctor,
right?
You know. So if you have a central air system, using the highest rated filter that it can accommodate is a necessary piece of information, because some central air systems can't handle a MERV filter of 18. You know, so you have to know your system and know.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Don't overtax your system because it doesn't have enough power to pull the air through that filter.
Exactly. And you want to make sure that the filter is installed properly and correctly and fits within its holder, because or else you're right, it'll be overworking and now you're just wasting your money on an awesome filter that doesn't go with the system that you have. Cleaning out dust at least once a month. I know who has time for that, but once a month would be optimal. Replacing filters routinely, like Anna Kate said, most of them are every 3 months. Some can be every 6 months, but 3 months is recommended to just operate a little bit more efficiently.
Especially if you have the doors open a lot and you have animals, and just depends on your lifestyle and what's going on. That if it needs to be replaced every 3 months or 6 months, and you'll know because you can pull the filter out and go check it at 3 months. If it doesn't look full,
exactly,
slide it back in there.
Or like if you're doing renovations or you have construction, you know, there's times where you're going to want to change them more frequently, but every 3 months is a good goal, because in reality, then we're probably changing it every 8-9 months.
Yeah, let us know when was the last time that you changed your air filter.
Yeah, I'm going based off personal. I think it's been about a year. I'm not gonna lie.
So ours is on a schedule.
Yeah, I just think that's
so. It's a quirk of my husband. He's got everything on time on a.
I like that quirk.
Yeah,
that's a good quirk to have.
That is so. But you know, and you can order air filters. You don't have to get them one at a time. You can order a box of them and store them in the garage. And then just when that's time to go, just make it part of your thing. Like when you wash your laundry, your washing machine, or when it's time to switch something out that you do on a monthly basis, make that just part of your 3-month rotation.
Right. Absolutely. And we've mentioned this a couple times, or Anna Kate has, with ventilation. Another great way is if all like those central air filters, or, you know, the portable filters or whatever, it's just not in your wheelhouse right now, then what can we do? We can practice proper ventilation. There are these toxins accumulate with stagnant air. So it can accumulate 3 to 5 fold by just remaining stagnant. And so proper ventilation is super essential, even if you have the greatest air filters.
Right.
And so the ventilation that's required for your home depends on your climate, depends on the humidity level in your home, and the degree to which your home is airtight, how sealed it is. So it's not the same for everybody. There's not a blanket recommendation here. But there are 3 kind of different types of ventilation systems that we can use in our homes. One that we said is natural ventilation. Open your windows.
Yep. And make sure that you have a cross breeze. So don't just open one window on the back of the house. Make sure that you have a window open on the front of the house, or a door, you know, or something to get the air to move through. Turn on fans.
Circulating.
And you'll know it's usually right about when the temperature starts to warm up, that's a great time before the pollen comes in, that you can just move things through your house. Our battery died.
Oh, like what is happening?
So move the air through the house. And it's also sometimes called burping the house.
Yeah.
So, just let off that extra pressure and get things moving through. And then when you dust, start from the top of the room to the bottom of the room. So dust the walls and the countertops and everything, and then vacuum.
Right.
So that way you move everything down instead of vacuuming and pushing everything up.
Right. Absolutely. And it's the most cost-effective way. I wouldn't recommend it, if you don't have your heat on and in the middle of winter and it's all that cold air.
Yes, don't do that.
Not as energy efficient. So pick the proper time depending on your climate. Another one is called spot ventilation, which removes the pollutants through exhaust fans in our kitchens.
You burn popcorn?
Yeah, exhaust fans. Our kitchens, our bathrooms, that is a good way of ventilation. So, if you have things burning or, just fumes that are coming from something, turn your fans on.
Yep.
Or your exhaust on, I should say. And the other is whole house ventilation, which basically exchanges air uniformly throughout our home. It's only recommended in homes that are super airtight, where we know there aren't a bunch of leaks. It's not an old home. And by leaks, I mean like cracks in the foundations or like in between, like our windows aren't as sealed as they should be. It's so expensive. Adding whole home ventilation systems are very expensive. So not something that most of us can just go and do, but know that it is an option if that is available to you. And it uses your existing central heating and cooling ductwork to help lower that installation cost. So it's not anything that has to be built on. You can use existing structure, but it is very expensive.
But it's also a good thing that if you're building a house, something to consider.
Right.
So,
exactly.
And make that part of the budget and say, is it worth this to do this and give up X amount of square feet to make that happen? So we've got a smaller closet somewhere and we have whole home ventilation in our new seal house.
Right. And if that is just way beyond what you can do, then the other forms of ventilation, what's important to know is our home and where that ventilation is crucial. So is it crucial? Where in your home's living space is it critical? Is it critical in the bedrooms, in the bathrooms, in the kitchen? And then you can spend more energy and time on those locations as well. A little tip for bedrooms and just if you don't have like an open plan house. All words today. If you don't have an open plan house where it's super airy and you have lots of small corridors or lots of small bedrooms, keep your doors open during the day. Don't close every door to every bedroom, bathroom. Keep those doors open. Keep your fans on in your bathrooms. That can allow for more just air circulation instead of it staying stagnant in that one small space. Working with any time that you are just concerned or have questions, call your HVAC dude.
Yeah.
Or woman. I shouldn't say dude. And just see what the appropriate ventilation is for your home and for your climate.
Call the lady at the office and have her send out a dude.
Exactly. The last little bit about ventilation that I want to touch on is just other kind of pros and cons. Exhaust ventilation is the least expensive to install and works really well in cold climates. And basically, again, it uses a fan to push out the air of the house through a central outlet. The disadvantage to that type of ventilation is that the fans can potentially draw in moisture and pollutants from other parts of the house into that central space of living. So think about it, if you have your fan on in your kitchen or your exhaust on in your kitchen, is sucking up air. It's drawing in air, but that can mean it's pulling from other parts of the home. And so there's a little line there of how efficient and effective it is.
Like you don't want your burnt popcorn smell to end up in the upstairs bathroom.
Exactly.
Kind of think of it that way, of it's just pulling in outside air.
Exactly. So if you're venturing down that's why I say, talk to your HVAC human.
Your person.
Because we want that balanced ventilation system where we want the best of both worlds, where it's drawing out what we want, but we're pushing out what we want and keeping in what we want. And that's just a balancing act. we also want to make sure that if you have your heat on or your air conditioning on, like that it's energy efficient and it's not drawing out all of what you're trying to put in to keep your temperature stable.
Right. So one of the things that you can do if you have bad smells in the house or you're painting or something like that, you can take a box fan and put a filter on it and have the fan pull the air, like stick it in a window and strap the top of the window and have it pull that air out and ventilate that way. So air's not coming back in, but you can ventilate out the other way. So that's an option too, and you just tape a filter to it. So it's an easy thing that, especially if you're doing construction work and you've got a bunch of fumes in the house that you want to get out, that's an easy way to do that and put that in the room and draw that out and ventilate.
100%. And in addition, kind of properly ventilating and filtering or filtration, it's important to also minimize the indoor air pollutants. So we can have all the fancy air doctors and portable filters and whole house filters that we want, but if we are constantly bringing in air pollutants into the home, what are you paying for? Right. You know, so paying attention to products that are low VOCs or certified in low VOCs. There are many many more available. There are many other options nowadays in terms of furniture and carpets and things like that that are certified low VOCs, that if you can go that route, go that route. Things that don't off-gas formaldehyde would be really important. If they don't have added flame retardants, you know, certain like sealants on furniture, or like the waterproof on our boots and things that they spray when we buy them. If we can minimize that, then that's protecting our air quality in our home. Right. Also plastics, if things that aren't made with PVC plastic, when dealing more so on the allergen front, dust mites, stick to, vacuuming obviously is very important, and having vacuum with a HEPA filter. We want to either wet mop or dust frequently to keep those surfaces clean. And then if you can stick to furniture that is more wood-based or natural fibers, that will minimize those air pollutants as well when it comes to allergens. Last little bit that I want to say is regarding more the vacuum, because not all vacuums are created equal. Some vacuums just disperse. Yes, instead of truly filtering, they just disperse. Right. So that's why we want vacuums with a HEPA filter. They're more efficient at trapping those small particles and will remove contaminants versus just a regular vacuum that recirculates all that gunk into the air. So your carpet looks pretty, it looks clean, but where is it going? It's just recirculating into the air that you're breathing. Yeah. So next time your vacuum dies, the next one you purchase, have it be a vacuum with a HEPA filter. And you do have to change those filters as well as you use your vacuum. I feel like that's easier for me to remember than my HVAC, having it clean. I don't know why. That's just... And you mentioned this earlier, but you can vacuum your mattress. If you have a couch that is cloth, you can vacuum that too. So that vacuum with HEPA filter comes in handy, and not just for your floors, but also for your furniture.
Did you know, just talking about couches, that you can take a pan lid and a wet towel, like a damp towel, and you can wrap it around the top of the pan lid and hold it all together, and then rub over the top of your couch, like microfiber and couches like this, and it'll get all the dirt off.
Oh.
So instead of taking a cloth and doing that, you take a thing and so it creates a good surface tension. So just FYI.
Fascinating.
Sorry, I'm full of useless information.
I'm like, but the tops of my pans are so heavy because we use cast iron and we have like so heavy ceramic. I'm like, I don't want to do that all over my couch.
Then you have to get a stainless steel from Goodwill just to clean your couches. You should just take a microfiber over it, and it just gives you something to hold on to.
Right.
So that's all.
That makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. So I know this was a lot, but I hope that we want to give you guys the basics, and we want to give you some knowledge about just what to start looking for and what things mean, and kind of be able to go, from there to make the best choice for you and your family. We have a lot more coming this month when it comes to non-toxic living, how to keep your home safe. If you're a new homeowner, things to look into. We have some awesome guests coming on to help us navigate just all areas of non-toxic living with things that we can control. That is our biggest takeaway.
Yep.
Is diving into the details of what we can control in our own home.
Yeah. And it's a new year, so new year, new you. You can start making little swaps and making better informed decisions as you move forward. And that's all that we can ever really do. None of us are perfect. She's more perfect than I am. So, but well, when we talk to Tori, you're going to find out how imperfect this girl is right here. I failed already this year.
That is okay. Small steps, guys. That's it. Small steps. Move forward any way that you can. Every step forward is a good step forward. So,
we're in a positive direction.
Yeah. Stay tuned to learn all the things non-toxic. And until next time,
let's discover together.
You've enjoyed this journey of exploration and learning as much as we have. Before you go, we have a special request for you, our beloved discoverers. We'd be thrilled if you could show your support in a few easy steps. Step 1, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to ring that notification bell so you never miss a moment of discovery. Step 2, if you're listening via Apple Podcasts, please take a moment to rate and review our show. Your feedback means the world to us and helps others discover our podcast too. Step 3, whether you're on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcast platform, please share the Discovery Doc podcast with your friends, family, and social networks. It's the best way to spread the joy of discovery. And finally, don't forget to follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at The Discovery Doc. Stay connected with us for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and so much more. Plus, for exclusive content and additional resources, be sure to check out our website at www.thediscoverydoc.com. And while you're there, if you have a burning question or a topic you'd like us to discuss on the show, simply let us know. Thank you, Discoverers, for being part of our incredible journey. Until next time, let's discover together.
The content provided in this podcast provides general information and discussions on various topics related to health, wellness, and medical advancements. However, it is essential to understand that the content provided in this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The hosts, guests, and contributors are individuals sharing their personal experiences, opinions, and knowledge in their respective fields. While they strive to provide accurate, up-to-date information, medical knowledge is constantly evolving, and the information presented in this podcast may not always reflect the most current research and medical guidelines. It is crucial to consult with a qualified healthcare professional or medical expert for specific medical concerns. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay seeking medical treatment based on the information presented in this podcast. The Discovery Doc podcast encourages listeners to use their own judgment and discretion while implementing any suggestions, recommendations, or lifestyle changes discussed in this episode. Each individual's medical situation is unique and may work for one, may not be suitable or safe for another. The podcast hosts, guests, and contributors are not liable for any direct, indirect, consequential, or incidental damages or harm that may arise from listening or acting upon the information provided in this podcast. Listeners are responsible for their own health decisions and should exercise caution and seek professional guidance when necessary. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that you have read, understood, and agreed to this medical disclaimer. If you have any questions or concerns about this medical disclaimer, please consult a qualified healthcare professional.